Have you ever reached a stretch of days with nothing urgent to do, and instead of feeling relaxed, you felt strangely tense? Your calendar was open, your inbox was quiet, and yet your mind felt louder than usual. It didn't feel like freedom, it felt like something was wrong. Maybe you finally had a weekend without deadlines, or a slow week at work or time off that you had been waiting for. You imagined rest, clarity, maybe even relief. But instead, you felt restless, distracted, and oddly dissatisfied. And when that happens, most people quietly turn the blame inward. They assume they are lazy, ungrateful, unmotivated, or bad at relaxing. They think, other people would love this free time, so why can't I handle it? But research suggests that this reaction has very little to do with discipline or personality. It is not a failure of character, and it is not a personal flaw. It is a predictable response to how modern minds are trained to function. The experience itself is very common. When life is busy, time feels scarce and valuable. When life slows down, time suddenly feels heavy and undefined. You wake up without a clear structure. You open your laptop and stare at tasks that are optional instead of urgent. You check your phone more often, even though nothing new is happening. Hours pass, but they don't feel used. They feel wasted, or empty, or strangely uncomfortable. By the end of the day, you are tired without being satisfied. The usual explanation sounds simple. People say you just need better time management, more hobbies, or more self-control. They say you should plan your free time better and be more productive with it. But that explanation does not fit the emotional reality. Many people who feel stressed by free time are highly organized, responsible, and capable. They manage pressure well when life is demanding. They do not struggle with structure. They struggle with the absence of structure. And that difference matters. Studies in psychology suggest that human brains are deeply shaped by external demands. Deadlines, schedules, meetings, and expectations act like mental scaffolding. They hold attention in place. When those supports disappear, the brain does not automatically relax. Instead, it has to decide what matters, what deserves focus, and what direction to move in. That sounds simple, but cognitively, it is exhausting. Making open-ended choices requires more mental energy than following clear instructions. Too much freedom can quietly drain attention. This is sometimes called decision fatigue in research. When nothing is decided for you, everything becomes a small decision. What to do first, what matters most, when to stop. During busy periods, these questions are answered by necessity. During free time, they are answered by you, and answering them all day creates subtle stress. At the same time, modern environments rarely support deep rest. Phones, notifications, streaming platforms, and social feeds remain active even when work stops. Your brain never receives a clear signal that it is safe to disengage. So instead of resting, you hover. You scroll without satisfaction. You switch between tabs. You half-watch videos while feeling vaguely uneasy. Research also shows that people derive a sense of identity from being useful. Being needed, relied upon, and productive provides emotional grounding. It signals that you are contributing and relevant. When schedules empty, that feedback disappears. There is no immediate proof that you are doing something meaningful. The mind begins to search for it. That search often turns inward. You start evaluating yourself. Am I using my time well? Am I falling behind? Am I wasting my potential? These questions do not feel dramatic. They feel quiet and reasonable. But repeated over hours, they create background anxiety. Consider a typical office worker on a slow Friday. Emails slow down. Meetings are canceled. The afternoon stretches out. At first, it feels pleasant. Then they begin checking their inbox repeatedly. They reorganize files they do not need. They browse job listings just to look. Nothing is wrong externally. Internally, they feel unsettled. The absence of urgency creates mental noise. Or think about a student after exams end. For months, every day had a clear structure. Suddenly, there is space. They sleep later, scroll longer, drift between activities. Instead of relief, they feel vague guilt and restlessness. Even weekends often follow this pattern. Friday night feels exciting. Saturday morning feels open. By Sunday evening, many people feel strangely disappointed with themselves. Not because anything bad happened, because nothing happened that felt solid. The uncomfortable truth is that many people use busyness as emotional regulation. Structure protects them from uncertainty about purpose, value, and direction. When life is crowded, these questions stay quiet. When life opens up, they become audible. This does not mean people secretly love stress. It means stress can act like psychological insulation. It blocks deeper unease from reaching awareness. Free time removes that insulation. Research suggests that humans evolved to function in environments with continuous tasks tied to survival and social roles. Long periods of unstructured time were rare. Modern leisure is historically unusual, so the mind often does not know what to do with it. It treats open time as a problem to solve rather than a space to inhabit. Another factor is comparison. During free time, people consume more media. They see others traveling, creating, improving, achieving. This exposure activates subtle social evaluation. You start measuring your quiet day against someone else's highlight reel. Rest begins to feel inadequate. None of this means free time is harmful. It means free time reveals how much of your emotional stability depends on external structure. It shows how much meaning has been outsourced to schedules, deadlines, and performance. It also does not mean you should fill every moment with productivity. Research does not support constant optimization as healthy. That approach often increases long-term stress, and it does not mean something is wrong with you. Most people experience this pattern at some point, especially in highly structured societies. Feeling uneasy during free time does not mean you are broken. It means your mind is responding to a sudden change in context. It is similar to stepping off a moving walkway. Even when you stop, your body still feels motion for a moment. What you are feeling is not laziness. It is cognitive adjustment. Over time, some people learn to tolerate open time more comfortably. Others continue to feel unsettled by it. Both patterns are normal. The key realization is quiet and slightly uncomfortable. Much of what feels like stress in modern life is actually structure, and much of what feels like freedom is actually uncertainty. We are rarely taught how to sit with uncertainty without filling it. We are trained to resolve it through activity. So when activity disappears, the mind becomes restless. Understanding this does not require you to change anything. It does not demand new habits or routines. It simply reframes the experience. It explains why rest sometimes feels harder than work, why quiet days can feel heavier than busy ones. It shows that the tension you feel is not a personal failure. It is a side effect of living in a system that rewards constant engagement. When you notice yourself feeling stressed during free time, it is not evidence that you are wasting your life. It is evidence that your mind is adjusting to openness, and that adjustment is slow, imperfect, and deeply human. Free time does not automatically bring peace. It brings space, and space reveals what was always there. Sometimes, that is calm. Sometimes, it is uncertainty. Sometimes it is both. Recognizing this does not solve it, but it makes the experience less confusing. It allows you to see that the discomfort is not a verdict on who you are. It is simply what happens when the noise stops. And in a world that rarely goes quiet, that can feel surprisingly loud.